Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who share their expertise and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schock, and if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're so excited to have you here. I am really excited to be diving into this conversation today with my guest, Jonathan Silverstein, and I'm going to introduce you to him in a minute. But again, if you're new to this podcast, please stay to the end because we have a special gift for you. But without further ado, welcome, Jonathan, to the podcast. And I'm excited to talk with you about your company, Mobile1st.
Thank you for having me, Heidi. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to chat with you. So, Jonathan, can you share a little bit about you, your background, your company, Mobile1st, and your role within it?
Sure. Well, again, thanks for having me. Jonathan Silverstein, Mobile1st. I didn't start out in the world of either e-commerce or optimization. I really came into it from a broader advertising perspective. So I spent a bulk of my career in the world of large brand advertising, New York, San Francisco, Austin, Texas, working on brands such as Merrill Lynch, Charles Schwab, Southwest Airlines, AT&T, and really learned the full funnel metrics of business. I led direct response television at GSD&M for a period of time on AT&T. So I really got enamored in let's say the 2010s, early 2010s, around the world of data analytics and metrics by which we can prove and attribute value, return on investment. But in advertising, general advertising, that's not really the focus. It's around net promoter score and brand values, which are all important. Those are important elements. And what I felt was missing in brand advertising was many of the metrics that were critical to the new economy around digital marketing and media. I then went and spent about 3 or 4 years leading digital media businesses for a local broadcaster, really understanding mid-market or mid-funnel metrics. Then I had a great opportunity to team up with a group of founders that created what was Springbox Labs, now Mobile1st, into really breaking through an area that's very complicated or complex or broken down to many pieces, which is really the world of business intelligence, data analytics, user research, and using experimentation to prove hypotheses to, what most people refer to as maybe an A/B test, but we've taken it to maybe a level on steroids where we can definitely forecast up front and prove on the back end, where we have found many things in the traditional CRO world struggle to prove to not only an e-commerce client, but a CFO that money is actually creative. So that's what we set out to do in 2014 when Mobile1st really was started. And then the perfection on the services side really started in 2017. So we've been running for a good 8-9 years now, building great case studies, building great examples for great brands, and proving it's hard work. Yes, it's not an area or a territory that's really trotted upon. The bulk of marketing is on, traffic driving media. So we feel we have a point of difference. We feel we've perfected some areas that clients have come to genuinely rely on and appreciate.
Thank you for that. And I'm very interested in learning more about your journey and the growth because you've been in business now for 8 or 9 years. And like you said, this isn't like just specifically traditional lead gen. So your company, Mobile1st, you emphasize that site optimization through digital product growth is superior to traditional CRO, which you just touched on. Can you explain the key differences and why businesses should care, why it's important to them?
Yeah, what I'm about to share is, let's just say it's some generalities, but we see the trends. Many of the people that have worked for Mobile1st have worked in other areas in the CRO space. I won't name those agencies, and I'm not knocking those agencies. Those agencies that can do A/B testing, which is a need for many clients at scale, is a terrific service. The area that we focus on and the clients that appreciate the work Mobile1st does is really a hands-off situation, meaning we're an extension of the marketing. We set out to say, this is what the work that we will do, be able to drive a revenue per visitor growth and an ROI that is different than a CRO world. So I'm going to lay out maybe a more stereotypical example of a CRO example or CRO engagement where a client has perhaps a few people within their company as experts or directors of e-commerce, somewhere who's manning a tool. And someone has determined that they want to change a button color or trial a button color or a headline or a navigation or a PDP. But the depth of analysis of why that test perhaps is ideal, we have found to be fairly low. And that's okay. There's a lot of spaghetti thrown up against the wall, intuitiveness from the world of UX, UI. Many graphic designers have been the ones to say, this isn't an ideal user experience. We come at it from slightly different areas. We really rely on having a constant connection to the consumer, meaning always be doing research, surveys, activities with users to see what their issues are, whether it's friction, whether it's a brand value proposition, whatever it is. We've gone to a much deeper level to understand each phase of the user journey. And in that, we have found our win rates amongst A/B testing is far greater. Also, we're not using many vanity metrics, and I use vanity in the sense of conversion points from section to section. Moving someone from a homepage to a PDP, great, but did that actually make the cash register ring? Did a conversion happen? So we're focusing primarily on increasing revenue per visitor. To be clear, revenue per visitor is our metric. And a client, in order to have a long-term relationship, needs to know that it's worth spending the money every month. And we have found within in the CRO world, there's a lot of churn, there's a lot of turnover. Hey, fix this in 3 months and let's get out. The average tenure with Mobile1st is over 4 years. So we are delivering it on a regular basis, and many contracts can renew or stop or pause within 6 months. So the value that we're proving is not just a value that our primary client, who's sort of responsible for, let's just say, growth, but the CFO says, what's the return on this investment? So as I said, there are wonderful clients that have been with us that recognize that this isn't about just, hey, let's try something and see if that makes something a little better for a short term. This is a systemic culture change for our clients to say we are, just like an ad agency would be hired to guide the brand values and the perception and cultural perceptions of the brand. In what we're doing, they're saying we have to have growth. Yes, conversion rates have to be showing increases. We have to show average order value at long-term LTV. There are metrics by which all correlate to revenue. That's what we're moving on a regular basis. And clients feel that every month.
Yeah. So in your experience, how critical is it to identify and engage the decision maker inside of an organization when selling or implementing optimization solutions?
Yeah, I think every business in the service world wants to figure out who's the final decision maker. Unsurprisingly, every organization is set up differently. Their phase of growth is different. So understanding early on who is the authority, who's the person who's responsible, whose neck is on the line if they're going to make this spend. So having them understand or we understand what their goals are, how long-term their goals are, how set they are in committing to a process is really important for us because we can spin wheels. Getting a contract takes us maybe 30 days to 90 days. We close, and then that individual has handed it off to somebody else or they've cut their budget. Look, we know in marketing, when during volatile economic times, marketing is the first area. We pride ourselves on not being that group. There's always some group that is either not delivering on ROAS or an ROI that a client says, well, we're not getting the return. We need to figure out more effective ways. So having a relationship with the decision maker tends to be not just the person who's able to sign the contract, but that is tied to the accretive revenue that we agree we're going to generate. It also helps to manage who's really responsible for generating the ideas. If the ROI is placed on mobile first, that we have to deliver this, it's much easier for us to do that work versus in traditional CRO, a client is feeding that partner, do this test, do X test. So we have flipped it a bit to say, look, if you're looking to grow, then allow us to do the job. If we don't do the job, fire us. But
Mhm.
we try to draw the line with decision makers and the key operators to allow us to prove what we do consistently.
Mm. Yeah, I was talking with a company earlier today, and that was one of their challenges was they're learning, trying to figure out who those decision makers are. And that's a process inside of your business. And I think it's really important that you're finding that out sooner than later, because if you're going to wanting to convert your product or service, you need to know who you're targeting for
That's right.
sure. Um, So, Jonathan, many companies say they want to be data driven, but few really are. So, what common gaps do you see between the desire for data analytics and the execution?
I don't think it's a lack of trying or will or
Mm,
interest. It's the tectonic plates that keep shifting underneath a CTO or a CMO who's responsible. It's the shift, a few years ago was far more volatile when GA moved to GA4, when Google stopped using Google Optimize, when tools were allowed to be free or simply targeted to a marketer. Today it's not. Marketer has a lot of trouble. So I think there's a gap in what we would call the source of truth. Many of our clients are using different Power BI, Segment, other tools that are enabling them to have a data warehouse. But the big question continues to come, which one is the source of truth? Salesforce? Is it Shopify? Which one? And they're also, oftentimes they'll say it's all of them
mm,
with certain variances. So we work with clients to really nail down where is that source of truth, the one area that we can rely on together. Like those are the numbers that we're going to be using going forward. Other things can be directional.
mm,
The hard part is a client committing to that. And the amount of energy and time, right? There's cuts happening across the board, cost management, the expectation of technology, artificial intelligence, large language models, doing much of the work. Well, that's not helping those humans that are responsible and have to answer to leadership to say, how is the value chain of all these tools actually delivering what we need? Is there extraneous costs in here? Helping clients to understand the difference between data and dashboards. What is data versus what is insight, signals versus noise. So I think these things are not uncommon to our field, but what we do find is that we have, I wouldn't say an easier time, but we have a more focused way of helping a client to say, for digital product growth, for the efforts that we're doing to prove uh, improvements, optimizations on sites, we are better at helping clients to solve the problem and commit to solving the problem. Kicking the can down the road will will be negative for that decision maker and for budget and for longevity with a growth program.
mm. You mentioned earlier revenue per visitor, RPV. So why is it so important that a digital product growth partner can forecast and deliver on ROI and revenue per visitor, RPV, growth before an engagement even starts?
It's a great question. There are clients that get that immediately. There are some that need to be talked through that. There's a lexicon of acronyms and metrics by which legacy leaders, maybe conversion rate. There's
Mm,
a commitment to a conversion rate. However, that's a function of traffic and spend, um, and a variety of other elements that may be a challenge to prove empirically that you're actually generating more revenue.
mm,
So for us, we have found whether either educating clients or at least being in a place where we're proposing this, or the client is already there. They're like, I don't know if you're able to curse on this
Yeah.
program. I'm not going to, but let's just say there's a lot of BS and there's a lot of commitments. There's things in CRO as far as, well, if you had implemented this change a year ago, this is how much more money you would have gotten. We have found that to be a failed approach. CFO says that's not actually accurate. There's no formula that exists in the world to be able to handle all the variables that would call that out and say that that's bullshit. Sorry. In any event, when we get to the metric of revenue per visitor and ROI, both the e-commerce director or whomever the leader in marketing that's responsible for growth and the CFO can get to the same page faster.
Mhm.
For us, there are many competitors to us that will say, well, try us for 3 months. If you don't like it, then stop. Or we promise a certain amount of return or conversion rate. But conversion rate can be manipulated in certain ways at times in order to do some short-term benefits. That has to do with spend, that has to do with placement, that sandbagging certain tests. We know this is going to go well. So in the short term, there's a conversion rate, sort of warm feeling by the client. But as that goes on, that's tough to keep up. So by using a metric by which we can't manipulate the numbers, meaning a revenue per visitor is backed in by revenue, transactions, and sessions. These things cannot be manipulated by market factors. So a client going into an engagement with anybody, let alone mobile first, tends to be much more comfortable knowing that the performance is going to be tied to ROI, meaning what they're paying us versus
Mhm.
what we're already saying within a specific period of time. And we do that at 3, 4, 6 months. So the clients feel they're already in the money. And as they're going on their growth pattern, there's nothing being spent on mobile first that is an expense. There's always accretive value. And the client then learns at those times that not only are the things that are being improved, optimized, fixed, advanced on the website, but it tends to help traffic driving marketing as well, content creation, email marketing, because the insights that we're landing on to drive greater improvement in conversions is actually going further upstream to frame and set the mindset for audiences that we already know,
Mhm.
customers that we know that would be interested. So back to your question, it's helpful to get those that know they have a workload and a need to grow performance on the site together with a CFO that's saying, I have thousands of areas to spend money. Everyone's asking for money. Where can I go that I have a greater confidence that if I put a bet here, I'm going to get a 7, 8, 10, 12x return? And
Mhm.
those are harder and harder to find.
Yeah.
So the hard work that we're doing, we believe is more intoxicating or advantageous for a CFO to take advantage of.
Yeah. I would love to talk about growth, Jonathan, because you've been this, growth first, mobile first, growth first. We're talking about growth. Mobile first has been in business 8, 9 years now, and you've have a huge background before you even started here. You shared with us at the beginning of the interview. Can you share with us some challenges that you faced, maybe in your past experiences or even with mobile first, and
Sure.
how you've overcome them?
I don't know if I've overcome them all, but it's a great question. I would say that, certain industries are mature. Let's just say even digital media traffic or traffic marketing is pretty mature. Google, Facebook, a few others optimize it. There's, programmatic buying. There's a variety of areas. I think eConsultancy has a stat. For every $92 spent in driving traffic to a website, a dollar is spent converting them. So that metric, I don't think has changed very much. Now, what that tells us and has been a bit of a barrier is knowledge,
Mhm.
understanding, track record. So whenever you're creating an industry or evolving an industry or branching out from an industry, there's an education process that goes on. So it requires a great deal of reference for a client to understand and appreciate, because they're going into it believing we just have to do some A/B testing just so we can, you know, make a little more money. Then when they realize there's a relatively more involved commitment, not necessarily financial, but in some ways financial, there's a there's more to wade through to determine is this real? Because there's not a ton of references out there. Yes, there's great, let's just call them CRO firms, but I think that also sets a bar and a certain way of expectations. I would also say there are a slew of A/B testing platforms, right? There's, our favorite is Optimizely, but we worked with Monetate, A/B Tasty, Convert, VWO, et cetera, that all have a technology that enables this. However, the majority of them do a disservice in in uh, presenting themselves in a way that it's a very simple process. It's all WYSIWYG, drag and drop. And the truth is, those contribute to other problems, stability problems, flicker problems, things that get in the way, which then only erodes a client's confidence. So the value chain of all the things that need to be done to run an effective program and consistently deliver a higher RPV at a very nice ROI requires a great deal of activities. Now, you don't want to vomit that all to a client in the first meeting. So we've had to refine our approach, what's most important, and then leave room. Say, look, you're gonna be learning some more things as we go. There's going to be things that are going to appear to get in the way. So we manage expectations as best we can, that getting into any client's business, we're never going to be as good at the business as the client. They know their business, they know their brand better than we do. But we have to quickly move into a phase where the client believes and trusts and understands that what we're doing is not infecting their business or negatively impacting other things they're doing. So I would say that information or expectations don't come in perfectly aligned. So there's managing of that. There are some inbound expectations that have been built by the category that are misperceptions, that are misleading. So we have to decalcify that. We have to, you know, break that down and then build it back up. Oftentimes that builds greater trust for clients because I think inherently many know or have experienced less than ideal results from past experiences. So, phrases like it's a breath of fresh air, or it's great to hear the negative. I use the phrase often, don't be a bad gambler. You can't tell them just when things go well. You have to tell them the things that are not going well. And that's from the early on. So clients believe that when you're presenting the good news, they're not believing that everything is served up on a silver platter. And that required a lot of training for our growth strategists because we have very analytical people, but it's very, very difficult to find great analytics people that are also good communicators, convincing. So a traditional account person, we don't have intermediaries. We have the experts sharing with clients directly. It's more efficient that way, but it requires training. So that's another area that we've had to work on. Training videos or training materials, getting people to feel more comfortable delivering challenging news at times.
Mm. I'd like to chat about some marketing. Let's talk marketing because we've been
Sure.
and visibility. What are some ways that who is your ideal client? Like
Yeah.
so who are listening to get super clear on if they're your ideal client or not, if they're wanting to learn more. Who is your ideal client and how are you spending your time wisely and effectively to get in front of those people, visibility wise, marketing wise?
A great question. Our target audience is anywhere from we focus on e-commerce. The truth is it works in B2B, lead gen, works in subscription, works in publishing. So any value that is derived from having an online business. That said, the bulk of our business is e-commerce, more measurable, larger size. We tend to be in the world of brands that are doing somewhere north of 5 million to 100 million. That seems to be the area. We have all representatives for all of those, or clients that represent all of those. We're looking for brands that have one lead to maybe 4 or 5 on a team that have multiple brands, have multiple goals. Everyone is overworked. They're looking for an expert partner to take a load or all of it to grow in this area. Most of their team in marketing is spent traffic driving world, SEO, paid search, paid media, to get efficiencies. That's where the bulk of their energies and expertise is because it's a large market there. But when it comes to this area, they're all thumbs a little bit. So if you're feeling like, look, we have to grow, we have to extract more revenue from this online business, but we don't have the actual talent. The truth is it's very expensive to try and build it in-house. Now, if you're north of 100 million, 400 million, 500 million, often those enterprise level clients will build this system. So think Airbnb, think, brands that are very UX centric, even Amazon. As strange as that UX world is, it's incredibly effective and they're 40 cents out of every dollar. So we engage with brands that are doing well to a certain degree around traffic. They have to have at least 50,000 monthly active users. If you got 100,000 or more, you're in a much better position. Obviously, if you're doing millions, you're able to test more. You're able to get to statistical significance faster. You're able to do a lot more activity. But wherever you're at, if you're doing 4 or 5 million, you need to get into this world. You need to get those conversion rates up, especially on mobile, for reasons we can talk about later. So those are really our archetype. And right now, we have our own podcast, Check In to Check Out, which is really just getting off the ground. But the spirit is targeting e-commerce directors, which is really, I wouldn't say they're a neglected community. They're just not a celebrated or coveted one to help people. Like, no one's going to college to become an e-commerce director. It's not built that way. It's an amalgam. So what we're doing is breaking it down. How did you get into this world? How did you get into this position? Did you come in from analytics? Did you come in from marketing? What is the way in which you achieve this? But there's amazing or incredible or daunting expectations placed on these individuals to miraculously grow because there's a perception of oversimplification, that things are easier than they really are. So if those individuals are in positions of responsibility, but are looking for talent, it's hard because they're not getting budget relief. The expectations, that's what we're paying you for to do. So hiring someone that is really the cost of maybe 1 employee a month to do all these aspects of BI and data analytics and user research and experimentation, we become a very attractive option.
Absolutely. So what's next for Mobile First? What's your big vision goals for the next 12 months?
I'm asked this quite often, which is a terrific and daunting question. Our area, I think how do we get our clients was part of the last question, and I don't want to short shrift that. We have, there's marketing that we do. There's effort, there are efforts, email marketing, but they're not great. I'm just going to call it out. Those campaigns get a lot more noise than they get quality, get a lot more partners. Not that partners are a bad thing, but a very cold outreach. Hey, we do SEO. Are you interested? And that's not our way. So we have curated partnerships and we continue to develop it with general agencies or digital agencies that don't have our capabilities. So we're doing white label, we're doing direct synergies with those brands. We work with development agencies as they're trying to get stickier with their clients and go a little up market, at least strategy wise. And for us, becoming more of a valuable partner to those companies, I'm not going to mention on the call, but we have one of those A/B testing partners that we exclusively support. I may have mentioned it earlier. And they're a terrific partner because they're not in the business of supporting clients after they sell their product, and we can bring clients to them as well. So there's wonderful cross-pollination in sales. So really focusing on our partnership strategies and finding agencies, traditional ad agencies, digital marketing agencies, SEO agencies that are looking to become more important or valuable to their clients.
Perfect. So with those goals, if I could give you a magic wand right now and you can go poof over one issue that's like sitting there that could be blocking those goals from happening, what is that issue and why would you want to get rid of it?
Hmm,
Or the
it's a great question.
challenge? What's like a challenge
The
that you're
biggest
facing in the
challenge.
moment? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to make it geopolitical, but I do think that in the current climate with tariffs, everyone is having a very difficult time with scenario planning, the what ifs. What if tariffs are lifted? What if they stay? What's
Mhm.
our cash flow? So, would be great to have Wall Street and the marketing world uh, push for greater clarity because I think these are very difficult times. That's sort of a general, socioeconomic issue. I think for us, curiosity, their clients understanding what all their tools are to be
Mhm.
able to implement growth and be open-minded beyond the spend a little more or spend a little less based on ROAS and start looking at more marketing tools and marketing solutions for growth. I think there's a lot of protection around cash flow right now, which I can't really argue with. But the longer you wait and sit on the sidelines waiting for somebody else to make a decision, the more your competition is going to get in advance on you. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's not binary. You can't do one by itself. You have to do both.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. So if we could revisit this conversation in a year from now, Jonathan, what would success look like for you and for Mobile First?
Um, Success would be defined by the success that our clients are having. So we're very proud of the results that we're having. However, I would like to see more brands associate themselves in the space. I think the growth of the term digital product growth, I'd like to see that grow and become more of a preferred area. There's another agency led by a guy who used to be on my board, um, who opened up a more of a technical side, but he's using the phrase digital product growth, which I'm proud of. He got it from us, and he's standing by it. So we're on a quest to grow a category. In a year, we'd like to see greater pride in being an e-commerce director and respect be given within a company of the complexities and challenges that e-commerce director or director of digital, director, whoever's responsible for the growth of a website, be given greater recognition that that job is a big lift. It's a big responsibility, and it requires a deftness across multiple categories, multiple industries, and the ability to move and make decisions based on not just data but insights. I would love to see that, and we're doing our part to shine a light on the digital ecom director, um, because we think they are not being the appreciation is not there as high as we think it should.
Yeah. You mentioned something earlier, which I'm curious about. You mentioned like some companies have users in the millions. And I know there's a lot of companies listening right now, like, I wish we had half of that, right? So you said that there's a reason, and we could talk about it later, of why it's important that they want to focus on growth.
Yeah.
And there's companies out there like that could be like, oh, we have millions of users. We've really worked hard to get here. We're good. Why should it matter that they don't just settle in where they are? Like, what have you seen happen if they do? Or why is it important that they want to continue that growth moving forward?
Well, it's back to I want to be clear that the if you look at stock market, if you look at the growth of any company, user growth tends to go alongside with successful growth. So can you have, a couple of quarters or even a year worth of growth without user growth? Sure, there's wonderful retention strategies saying we don't need to buy more new people to come in, but just like anything in business, what grows business? New business. So new business is a synonym for, new users. So what you want to do is, there's cohort analysis, we can get into the marketing discipline of targeting and understanding your consumer base and understanding personalization is a very big part of the optimization strategy. So as you get into personalization, if you're in that phase right now, know the difference between, just what personalization is and what targeting is. These are different definitions. Personalization allows you to really create a variety of different audiences and build new ones. And that's around product development, around expansion of products. Um, so we associate growth with, users over time, more
Right.
users with more users, you can then test and trial and segment. Uh, you can segment even your products. You can open up a new URL just targeting that audience if it's mutually exclusive. PGA Tour Superstore is a client of ours for 8, 9 years now, and they have rackets too, tennis stuff, pickleball. Well, it's tough when you're PGA Tour Superstore and then you're predominantly golf, yet I can't say the percentage of their business that's racket, but they have racket business. So what to do with that? Uh, Obviously, I'm just using that as an example,
Yeah.
but every business has areas where they want to grow. How do you do it? How do you, and that's a part of a growth strategy. So I think just in general, having users where you're developing and creating new opportunities allows you to test more. And within experimentation, data-driven experimentation, having more users allows us to move faster.
Mm. Yeah, I thought it was really important we talk about that because I mean, we've seen it happen where these companies become big conglomerate, like huge forces to be reckoned with in the industry, and how many have shut down over the last years because they didn't stay evolving. They didn't keep growing. And in order to evolve and grow, you need to know your customer, you need to know your user. And the more users that you have, which is what I'm gathering from you and what you've been sharing, is you can do more market research. You can learn what's important to them, and then you can start pivoting and moving with them, or even try to get out in front of that growth or in front of that transition that they're making so that you can keep your business, what's the word I'm looking for?
Vibrant,
Not valid. What did you say?
vibrant.
Vibrant, yeah,
Yeah,
vibrant, valid, all those things. Because the problems of your consumers change, right? And they change depending on what's happening. You just mentioned it, whether it's in the economy, whether it's in the world right now, or what's happening in their world personally, their problems shift. And if you're not knowing what's happening and you're not learning from your customer and having those conversations like you shared earlier, polls and all those ways that you're doing in talking with them, then somebody else is going to do it,
that's
right?
exactly right.
Yeah, somebody else is going to do it. And you touched on that as well. So I really appreciate your time today, Jonathan. This has been hugely informative and eye-opening in many different ways. And I hope I just brought some gold nuggets, or that you've shared, just kind of like elevated those for those listening. Like, those are the gold nuggets that I got. And we would love to hear your gold nuggets that you've pulled from Jonathan. So if you're watching us on YouTube or you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, hit that subscribe or hit the review button. Give us 5 stars, please, so that we can share Jonathan with the rest of the world. Jonathan, question on marketing, and then I want to get to sharing how that people can connect with you. Do you use more organic methods of getting of visibility, or do you use more paid options, or is it a combination of both? What does that look like for your company?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've tried it all.
Yeah, because you
What is
touched on
most,
that. You're like, some things have
yeah,
worked, some email marketing, not so.
not so great.
Mhm.
Returns have been, I mean, again, we're data driven. So how long we're committing to something. We have a presence on Clutch, which we respect. We appreciate them. It's a very thorough process. It's a little bit longer for clients or brands that we engage with to give us a review, but it's better than a Yelp in our opinion, or it's better than just a side. Yeah, they're great. It's verified. So we try to drift towards quality, for
Okay.
lack of a better phrase.
Mhm.
Um, we're not against some companies that are looking to help us in certain areas. We entertain many of them. Um, but we have started really kind of eating our own dog food, so to speak. And we are now going to many conferences. And as I mentioned, the podcast that we're creating is a little different than what we've seen, where there's teardowns or very test specific. Hey, give us a test that we think we can do right now, very transactional, where we're really just saying, let's shine a light on the category. So our posit or hypothesis is that if we can demonstrate our identification with our target and bring to light what their world is all about and the challenges that they face, then there's greater trust that we can help to solve or be part of the team to solve those problems.
Mm.
But there's no silver bullet. We're not a SaaS business. We're not a volume-based business. We're not a 999 business. So going through all the machinations, we're a, bespoke services company that's a consulting firm that has to understand the brand that we're working with. So we put it out there. We're putting out a lot of content and a lot of stimulation on LinkedIn. Our Chief Product Officer, Justin Aronstein, has been posting pretty much every day for the last 6 months, giving insights around the category, not insights on a specific brand. Because the truth is, and there's another area where I call BS in the category, is that we recycle nothing, meaning we do not take a test or something that we implemented on one brand and said, oh, it worked over there, let's bring it to a different client. Everything we do is organically brought, hypothesis based on data coming from each individual client. And we have brands in similar categories so we're in the golf specialty. We also work with Dunlop, which has Cleveland Golf, and Shrixon. We work with Sticks Golf. So we have a bit of a franchise in the golf industry, but all of them are kept mutually exclusive, and insights only come from each other's database. Everyone's in a different place of growth, whether it be technology, applications, or even users, or even where they are in their product. So value proposition is very different. So we stick very strictly to each client's goals. So we're shining a light on individuals, individual brands, and what their experiences are to build a greater community of e-commerce directors. And we believe that should lead to a better opportunity or better, I'll just say better opportunities for Mobile First to connect with good people, good brands, and people that want to grow.
I love it. I love how you're shining the spotlight just like we are. We're all doing it together. And the more spotlight we can put on our clients and businesses, we can support everybody in their growth.
100%.
Jonathan, can you share for those listening how they can connect with you and reach out to you to learn more?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to hear from you. Mobile1st.com, and that's mobile, like a mobile phone, the number one, st.com. There's lead gen buttons on the page to connect with us. Give us your name, give us your contact information, and we're happy to get in touch with you. You can also call me or email me at jonathan@mobile1st.com. You can connect with us through Mobile First Inc. on LinkedIn, or you can connect with Justin Aronstein, the Chief Product Officer, directly, as he's engaging many of those audiences as well. So those are the primary ways. If you've written down any of those, you can connect with us.
Absolutely. And we're going to have all of Jonathan and the company's Mobile First contact information in the show notes. So if you're driving, don't worry. We got you. You're not missing a thing. Just keep your hands on the wheel and just go to the show notes, or reach out to Aaron or Jonathan. Go to Mobile First, which is mobile, the number one, st.com, to learn more. Jonathan, thank you for your time. I'm so grateful for this. This has been a great conversation. I do have more questions, but I want to be respectful of your time. Like you just opened the last, I don't know, few minutes we've been chatting. I have more questions have been erupting in my brain, but we're going to let that go. Maybe have another conversation. We'll bring you back. For those of you listening, thank you. Whether you're on YouTube or in a podcast platform, your favorite platform, thank you again. Subscribe, leave us a review. We'd love it. Leave a comment for Jonathan. Let him know you heard him here. And I promise you a gift. So at HLH Growth Solutions, which I'm a co-founder of, we do help businesses scale their revenue through outside the box visibility strategies. If you feel like you've been doing things, and Jonathan mentioned it, sometimes we feel like we're throwing spaghetti at the wall. If you feel like you've been doing that and you're not growing as you'd like to, and you're a smaller to medium scaling business, then go ahead and download our Spotlight to Scale Blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint and grab it. It's free. It's yours. Go use it, try it, and let us know what's been working for you. Again, Jonathan, reach out to him, mobile1st.com. Also go to, what's Aaron's LinkedIn again?
Oh, Justin
Oh,
Aronstein.
Justin
Yeah,
Ehrenstein. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay. At J Aronstein.
Justin, and I said Aaron earlier, so I apologize, Justin Ehrenstein on LinkedIn. Also, what's the name of your podcast again, and when is it coming out?
Yeah, check in to check out.
Okay,
It's we've already I believe we recorded 7 or 8
amazing.
e-commerce directors, and we'll be launching our first episode, I believe this week or next week. So we're just editing right now. But yeah, it's check in to check out. Uh, there's another growth strategist that's on. Connor Burke is sort of a tandem with Justin, and it's a great format. Um, if you like smart lists, you'll like this.
Perfect. Well, make sure you go check out the
Yeah,
podcast. When we're recording, just for you listeners, it is we're at the end of April. So by the time this episode drops, it will already be on its way and rolling. So definitely go check out the podcast. And again, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you all for listening to Jonathan and I today on the Business Growth Spotlight. We appreciate you. Go grow your business, and we will see you on the next episode.